Excellencies, Lords, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. I'm delighted now to begin the formal part of awarding the 2019 Chatham House Prize. And Your Majesty, we're honoured that you would join us today for this, the 15th award of the Chatham House Prize. We're all the more grateful that you would join us on the evening of your 72nd wedding anniversary. So on behalf of our members and guests, please accept our congratulations and warmest wishes to you and the Duke of Edinburgh. As our guests and members here know, the Chatham House Prize is presented to the person, persons or organisation deemed by members of Chatham House and the Royal Institute of International Affairs to have made the most significant contribution to the improvement of international relations in the previous year. The selection process is independent, democratic, and draws on the input from Chatham House's experts, making the prize a unique award in the field of international affairs. The Institute's three presidents, Sir John Major, Baroness Manningham-Buller and Lord Darling, select the shortlist of nominees from a longer list submitted by the Chatham House research teams based on their areas of expertise. The recipient is then determined by Chatham House's membership on a one-member, one-vote basis. We have many members joining us online as well as in this room. The prize is presented to the winner on behalf of Her Majesty The Queen, the patron of the Royal Institute of International Affairs, and if we're so fortunate, presented by Her Majesty herself, as we are this evening. This year, the nominees were Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, nominated for his efforts to transform civic leadership and promote plural politics, free speech and peace in Ethiopia. Katrin Jakobsdottir, the Prime Minister of Iceland, nominated for her commitment to gender equality and women's financial inclusion, and Sir David Attenborough and the BBC Studios Natural History Unit for their sustained impact through the TV series Blue Planet 2 in galvanizing public engagement on the critical problem of plastic pollution in the world's oceans. I'm delighted that our members voted to award the Chatham House Prize 2019 to Sir David Attenborough and the BBC Studios Natural History Unit. It's now my great pleasure to invite our patron, Her Majesty the Queen, to present the prize to Sir David and Dr. Julian Hector. Your Majesty.
As patron of the Royal Institute of International Affairs, I'm delighted that members have awarded this year's Chatham House Prize to Sir David Attenborough and the Blue Planet 2 team. Sir David, this award recognises your many talents, and one can't help but feel that for those of us of a certain generation, we can take great pleasure in proving age is no barrier to being a positive influence. Your ability to communicate the beauty and vulnerability of our natural environment remains unequalled, as you and your team have engaged and enthused many people, young and old, to appreciate and preserve our world's oceans. For that, we should all be thankful. I congratulate you and all involved in this endeavour. Here is your prize. I'm very glad
Your Majesty, members and guests of Chatham House, and students, of course. It's an absolute honour to receive this prize on behalf of my entire team at BBC Studios' Natural History Unit. The Natural History Unit operates around the world in very small teams, documenting the natural world. And we can only exist with the support of my colleagues in the BBC and BBC Studios, and the many scientific collaborators, together with the local people on the ground who give us access to very remote parts of the world. So thank you to all of you. Being head of the Natural History Unit is hands down the best job in the world. I mean, look at me now. We're a specialist unit, quite big, around 350 people, that have been observing and recording the natural world for over 60 years. We tell stories of the natural world and our relationship with it through crafted storytelling for everyone. And plastic has been on my mind for decades. Before becoming a wildlife filmmaker, I spent several years as a field biologist. I worked for the British Antarctic Survey in the early 80s, studying albatrosses on South Georgia in the South Atlantic. There, I helped a fellow biologist to study the food albatrosses fed their chicks. We used to make them vomit in a bucket by gently squeezing them, rather like playing a set of bagpipes. We didn't do it that often, don't worry. The chicks and parents were fine. But all that time ago, we found pieces of plastic, single-use and other things, like a flip-flop, even a doll, in the regurgitated food. We saw fur seals growing into a ring of plastic, and which was digging deep into their flesh. Then we were not to know how big the problem was to become. And now the multiple curse of bits of multiple broken down plastic, both macro and micro, are commonplace in the diets of marine animals. And scientists are reporting that microplastic is literally raining down on us too, implicating terrestrial ecosystems. In the words of one of my producers, in Blue Planet 2, we didn't set out to make a series about climate change or plastics, but we documented what we saw. This is our world, whether we like it or not. Over 1 billion people have watched Planet Earth 2 and Blue Planet 2. And following the TV show, our award-winning digital campaign, #OurBluePlanet, reached similar audiences. And the Blue Planet 2 effect ballooned. The stories we shared in Blue Planet 2, coupled with Sir David's words, always uniquely delivered in a warm and powerful way, generated an extraordinary response from audiences all over the world and brought the message to living rooms, but also to company boardrooms. Blue Planet 2 was the most watched series of the year for the BBC and reached 62% of the UK population. More younger people than ever came to the series, opting to watch Blue Planet 2 rather than that entertainment show on the other channel. Broadcasters and platforms in over 200 countries have licensed the rights to show Blue Planet 2 to their audiences. It was viewed more than 80 million times in the first week of release in China on the Tencent platform, and by over 250 million to date. The series won BAFTAs and the Impact Award at the National Television Awards and an Emmy in the US. The series is full of emotional storytelling, captivated entertainment and surprised viewers, and showed how devastating this very modern polluting phenomenon is on marine creatures and our shared world. And it leads to real change. A poll in 2018 indicated that nearly 9 in 10 people, 88%, who engaged with Our Blue Planet have changed their approach to using plastics. And in March this year, 170 countries pledged to significantly reduce the use of plastics by 2030 at the United Nations Environment Assembly in Nairobi. Big change in the environment, I think, is being recognised by everyone. And standing before you today, at the end of 2019, receiving this award feels particularly poignant and significant. We are in the era of the big story. The big story is about big change. And every age has its stories to tell, and we're living through the greatest and most urgent of all, the era of climate change and environmental damage, where scientists warn of a long tail even as we act. But no one is immune to the upheaval caused by shifting climate. It is vital we recognise what is happening, explain with clarity and vision, and then tell stories of hope and transformation. Winning this prize and getting recognition for the work that we do at the BBC Studios Natural History Unit, many of whom are in the audience now, feels particularly significant this year when the environment is the biggest story of them all. So thank you, Your Majesty, and thank you, Chatham House members, for standing by the side with Sir David Attenborough and the BBC Studios Natural History Unit in championing the natural world. Thank you.
Your Majesty. Chatham House is a remarkable institution. It was founded between the wars, and it concerned itself exclusively with international problems. Well, international problems have never been more international, more crucial, and more pressing than they are today. International. The atmosphere doesn't have favourites among nations. The ocean washes the shores of the rich nations as well as the poor nations. Trees felled in Amazonia affect the rainfall in Europe. Carbon dioxide belching from the chimneys of China can ultimately affect temperatures worldwide. Melting glaciers in Alaska drown islands and villages in Polynesia. Each of these actions were responsible to national problems. People saw them as a consequence of their own national difficulties, irrespective of what happened to anybody else. Never has there been a greater need for international cooperation and international solutions. They won't be easy to win. Politicians have to look to the people who elect them, who will assume that they will be number one on the list. That cannot remain to be so. We are citizens of the world, and we must recognize that. And international cooperation, which is the subject of this great organization, is of paramount importance. If this international organization considers that what we have done in the Natural History Unit has in some way helped spread an awareness of the problems that face the world, that in some way will convince the population of the world that we all belong to one world, and just the one world belongs to all of us, then this award pleases me more than I can say, and I'm most grateful to receive it. Thank you very much.
ladies and gentlemen. As I said at the beginning, may I please ask you all to remain in your seats for a little while, because you will now appreciate the importance of us being able to leave efficiently. But we do have a film which will be shared with you to back up what you saw at the beginning. But thank you very much for joining us. We will now leave. Please remain in your seats.